I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we dive into the incredible journey of resilience and transformation with Kim Cottrell's autobiography. It is called Other Side. In this raw and honest memoir, Kim shares her powerful story of overcoming abandonment, abuse, and self-destruction, revealing how she discovered joy and freedom through an unexpected connection with faith. Her life, filled with daring adventures and profound personal growth, serves as a beacon of hope for anyone navigating their own struggles. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Kim, great to see you here today on Spotlight. Thank you for joining me.
Well, nice to see you too, Logan. Thank you. Thank you for interviewing me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is a powerful book. Parts of it must have been difficult for you to write, to go over again in your life. Why did you decide to share your story?
That's a great question. So initially, I'd say years ago, 20 years ago or so, people who knew me, of my story would say to me, Kim, you need to write a book because your book is an inspiration. Your life is an inspiration, and it can serve as hope. That if you've gone through these sort of things and how you are with God and my faith, that it could help others. So that was part of it. I didn't really act, obviously, at that time. Then about 10 years ago, I started getting this nudge right in my gut, God telling me to write about my life. And I sort of didn't act on it then either. Fast forward maybe a few years later, to be honest with you, I start looking at our society and how secular we've become and how it's about instant gratification. Do what makes you happy. Promiscuity is okay. Living this lifestyle is okay. And I believe that's not the answer to true eternal happiness, to getting to happy, joyous, and free. And then lastly, uh, I had a dream a couple of days before I was to summit Mount Rainier in Washington State. And God talked to me and he told me, write it down in a very irritated, sort of impatient voice. And I looked up to God in my dream and I said, okay. And then he said, write it down. And I said, okay. And I woke up from that dream and realized it was very clear that I had to actually take action. So that's why I'm
Oh,
talking with
wonderful.
you.
Well, I think it's important that you're spreading the word, not just of your personal story, but more importantly, that there is a way out and that your faith is what brought you to the other side. I guess
Yeah.
that's why it's called that.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly why
Yeah.
it's on the other side.
Now, as you're talking before and you're talking about summiting Mount Rainier, I'm thinking about, while these are some great adventures you're living, I understand you also do extreme whitewater rafting. So tell us a little bit about your quest to be a little bit of an adrenaline junkie when it comes to challenging yourself.
Sure. So once I was getting to the other side of my life, meaning, where I had the struggles before and things were very difficult, and I start what I call blossoming.
Hmm?
I started to want to explore and stretch the limits of my fear versus faith. And so I started whitewater kayaking. Back, I was 46 years old when I started. And I saw it. I went on a hike to a park in the DC area called Great Falls. And I was watching these kayakers go off this 26-foot fall. And
Wow.
I was like, wow, that looks so fun. And I said, Kim, why don't you go ahead and check it out? So that weekend, I found whitewater kayak lessons and registered and became a short story. I became a class 5 extreme whitewater kayaker, and And so
That's
it's
great. That's great. So it's a whole new chapter of your life doing something like that at 46 years old. I don't care if you're 16 years old or 26 years old, that is a lot to take on. I can tell you this from a very timid kayaker who, usually capsizes his kayak in the middle of the lake and makes a fool of himself in front of his whole community. But well, that's a story for another day. Let's talk a little bit about your faith.
Mhm.
How did that come about to be? Was it a renewal? Were you brought up in a religious tradition and you found faith, a more of a connection later on in life? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I had a childlike belief in God when I was a little girl, up until about the age of 9. I did go to church. It was a Catholic, and I simply believed. I didn't question it. I prayed to God every night, and I don't know how much you want me to go through the details of my book, but I would pray every night when I was a little girl to rescue me. God, rescue me from the pain, rescue me from what I was going through. And he never answered my prayers. I thought. I want to caveat to say I thought. And around the age of 9, I came to have no faith in God. I did not believe in God, and I set my path forward in that direction. I did what I wanted. I ended up living a very self-destructive lifestyle. Became alcoholic, drug addict, promiscuous, anything I could do to escape the real pain inside, I would do. And so I didn't believe in God at all. And up until I came to believe in God, I believe I had no faith. The day in question when I came, when it was a day and night, it was like turning on a light switch. I remember that day. I was walking down a hallway and I had turned to go to the bathroom to brush my teeth. And there was this window to the left of the this kitchen sink. I mean the bathroom sink. And as I was walking down that hallway, I was thinking to myself, Kim, this is never going to get any better. Like your life is just, I didn't want to live. I was like, how can this just be over? Why do I have to live until natural death? Is there just some way to just somehow shorten my life? I just can't imagine doing this. And because those things I was doing were not bringing me joy at
Mhm.
all. I mean, so as I turned to go into that bathroom, I'm going to tell you, Logan, when I turned to go into that bathroom, at that very moment, as I turned, I adamantly was against, did not believe in God whatsoever. No one could tell me of an existence of God. And when I turned, I went into the bathroom and I looked over to the left, and there was this form by the window. It was shapeless. It was kind of moving. It was shapeless. It didn't have color, any sort of color, but I could see it. And then when I caught my eyes to it, as I caught my eyes to it, it literally flung into me. And it just, in a millisecond, went through me. And in that moment, when it went through me, I had felt like previously I had been carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Mm.
And I was downtrodden, uh, and carrying this weight. And when it went through me, it like lifted, it like pushed the weight off of my shoulders.
Mm.
And it was like for the first time I stood up. And it was in that very second, as if somebody had taken a light switch and turned it from off to on. I said right there, oh my God, Kim, there is a God
Yeah.
and everything is okay. And it was like that. That was,
Amazing.
yeah.
Now, why do you think God or the Holy Spirit chose to reveal himself to you that day? Because you were at your lowest level, do you feel?
Yeah, I was killing myself.
Yeah.
And um, he had been there through my whole entire life. I just chose not to see it. And as a child, he was coming to me in my dreams, trying to reassure me, but I didn't see that. I didn't understand it. And I think, I'm not God to answer directly, but I believe I say this and like looking down at his child and saying, my God, my child, you're killing yourself. And I was so adamant about not believing. I guess he took it, he did that, and he woke and I woke up. And
Amazing.
it trans my life changed instantaneously. I was a different person. I was a new person. I even looked different after.
Amazing. Amazing. What advice would you give to someone who feels stuck in their trauma and is struggling to move forward, is in that dark place where you were before you were touched by the hand of God?
So, a lot of times, so they have this, the saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And meaning, you know, if I'm in a bad situation, I'm in a bad fill in the blank. It could be, uh, for me, alcohol, drugs, promiscuity. I was living a life. I was just trying to really kill myself. But let's say that you're in that situation. Doing that over and over again is not going to solve the problem.
Hmm.
It's not going to bring you peace. It's not going to bring you happiness. That I would sincerely pray to God. And if you don't believe in God, maybe have a conversation with someone or read my book
Yeah.
about how I came in, and then where I started to see God everywhere in my life. God was
Yes.
had his hand taking care of me. Um, I'll also say this, Logan, that we humans, what I talk about in my book is having blind faith and trust in God. Uh, God's love is not contingent on me being obedient, following the rules, following the Ten Commandments. It's about just having faith. I mean, he loves me unconditionally. He loves me at my worst. He loves me at my best. Um, but I would say to put away self, the stuff like the stuff between your ears that tell you the negative things, and start moving your feet in a positive direction, one foot at a time, one step at a time, and follow that instinct that tells you to do, whatever it might be, to do that, and God will take care of you. He has taken care of me, and I've seen him take care of many others.
Wonderful. Also, when you did have your epiphany, if you will, you made some changes in your life, which included doing some extreme sports and so forth. Do you feel like whether it's extreme sports or going back to school or taking up a hobby or learning dance, it's a good idea to funnel your energy in a different, more positive arena?
Yes. So the first thing when I had that moment, when that spirit, and by the way, I actually didn't share that with anybody for the longest time because I thought they would think I was crazy or something.
Right.
But it but I'm not crazy, and it really did happen.
Yeah.
Um, so at that moment I realized that I had a black hole in my soul
Hmm.
that needed to be filled with God, with the Spirit of God. So that's the first thing. What I did was as I started attending AA meetings regularly, and I stopped doing the things I did before, like not caring, just, sleeping with whomever, drinking, whatever. That stopped. Those behaviors stopped.
Hmm.
And I had that fear. I had to learn to walk through my feelings, because a lot of times, whether it's fill in the blank, work, food, shopping, whatever it might be, it's filling that void, it's filling that emptiness. And we use it when we are feeling something bad. Oh, I had a bad day at work. Let me get online and buy something, or, you know, fill in the blank. I
Right.
had to stop using those and instead start finding positive ways. And yes, I did find for myself that working out, eating healthy, and then doing, you know, challenging myself.
Yeah.
Triathlons, you know, is a positive outlet instead of killing myself.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad you had that epiphany. We're glad you turned your life around. And I'm glad you're sharing your story with others. The name of the book is Other Side. It is a raw and honest memoir. Kim, in it, shares her powerful story of overcoming abandonment, abuse, and self-destructive behavior, revealing how she discovered joy and freedom through an unexpected connection with her faith. It is a life changer, a game changer of a book. You'll want to read it. You'll want to see how her life was touched by God and how you can live a life filled with faith, hope, and promise as well. Kim, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan.
I appreciate your time. And to
Thank
the
you.
folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.